You gotta give the Yankees credit where credit is due. I said a lot of bad things about them the other day, but today they showed me something, and it's making me think, well, maybe it's time to praise them a little.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they're calling it these days, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. But the best way to get a hold of me is to leave a message right here on the YouTube page. And if you leave a message on any one of those social media thingies, make sure to have that hashtag #EverydaySully so we can keep track of who's writing what, where, and why. Let's go through the trivia question. The trivia question yesterday was basically talking about the fact that the Dodgers do not have a rich history of big-time sluggers. Of course, Shohei Ohtani hit 50 home runs. It was the first 50 home run hitter in the history of the Dodgers, whether they be in Brooklyn or Los Angeles. The question was, who was the first Los Angeles Dodger to hit 40 home runs in a season? Notice I said the Los Angeles Dodgers because more than one person said this answer. Actually, I liked a bunch of people said Gil Hodges, and I liked Jesus Garcia hits 88 miles per hour. Hey, Sally, not going to lie, I looked up the answer to see if I was correct. That being said, I still have to participate, so I'll say Gil Hodges. A lot of people said Gil Hodges, who hit 40 home runs as a member of the Brooklyn Dodgers. Incorrectamundo. Believe it or not, okay, Big John 08865 wrote, my guess for the first Los Angeles Dodger to hit 40 home runs is Mike Piazza. That's correct. It took all the way to 1997 for the Dodgers to have a 40 home run hitter. I thought that was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. I did double check it. And by the way, let's just quickly go through that who owned baseball for the first day of June. We're now in June, and there were some big games that happened. Clay Holmes did not walk a single Colorado batter over 7 innings to earn the 5-3 victory for the Mets. So it's official. The Rockies got to 50 losses before they got to 10 wins. That's almost impossible. And apparently it was more than Bud Black was the problem there. We're going to talk at some point next week. I'm going to have a conversation about what the most dysfunctional franchises in baseball are. And believe it or not, I don't have the Rockies up there right now. Garrett Crochet struck out 12 batters in 7 innings to earn the 3-1 decision for the Boston Red Sox. Josh Smith went 3 for 5 with a home run and a stolen base as the Rangers pounded St. Louis 8-1. And Luis Matos hit a 3-run home run to push the Giants past Miami 4-2. Now the Giants are on the summer scoreboard again, as they are now tied for a wild card spot here in June. Half Wobbs goes to Xavier Edwards, who got 5 hits in the Marlins loss to San Francisco. Jacob Wilson got 4 hits for Sacramento, who are falling like a rock. They have the same record that they had last year when everyone said, oh, it's so horrible, it's so horrible, it's so horrible. Well, nothing changed when they went to Sacramento. And now they're going to go to a homestand with the team falling like a rock, temperature going up. Let's see what happens in Sacramento. Hey, Chris Paddock threw a really good game. He allowed only 1 run while striking out 10 over 8 innings, but the Mariners walked off his Twins 2-1. The 1 run he let up was a home run by Cal Raleigh. I'll talk about him in one of the later segments. You probably saw him on the thumbnail. And Eric Fede held the Rangers to 2 runs over 6 innings, but he took the hard luck 8-1 decision for St. Louis. I got a lot of people claiming I was just a hater on the Yankees yesterday, and we're going to have a discussion on Aaron Judge's legacy. By the way, I think he is really close to having a Hall of Fame career right now. You can make the argument he already has, but he's certainly the best right-handed hitter in baseball right now. I don't even think it's close. So a lot of people say I hate him, and it showed bias. By the way, I have a new favorite listener. His name is Maker 161st, big Yankee fan. Said amongst many other things, we just saying the New England to West Coast bias is very clear. I apparently have New England to West Coast bias. Someone drop something in the chat if they know what the hell New England to West Coast bias is. That bias that just covers that region between Gloucester and San Bernardino. I don't know what this is about. I don't know what that sentence even could potentially mean, but it was my favorite thing I saw posted in the comments. Baseball is the greatest sport of all because of the instant redemption that you can have. The Yankees blew a big, an early lead in the first game of the series against Los Angeles. They had the doors blown off the dump and played dumb baseball. But I have said that it's always better to lose like something 18-2 than it is by one run. When you lose 18-2, yeah, it's humiliating. But you know what? It's not like you could say, oh, if only this happened or only that happened. But baseball is the greatest sport of all because of it's played every day. Doesn't matter if you lose 18-2. You got to show up the next day. And do you know what? It looked like it was all lined up for a Dodger sweep with Yamamoto pitching and Yarbrough pitching for New York. But Yamamoto didn't look good. He's been terrific so far this year, but he didn't look good. He looked nervous. For whatever reason, he didn't have his best stuff. He didn't get out of the fourth. He had a terrible outing. And give credit to Yarbrough. Yarbrough, a day after the Dodgers scored at will, held them to one run, an Edmund home run, a solo shot. And other than that, he left 3 hits and no walks, and he pitched 6 innings, which was exactly what the Yankees needed. Now, Yarbrough, how many pitches did he threw? 93 pitches. I thought maybe they could have stretched him into the 7th, but they didn't. And you know what? You give them credit. They dusted themselves off. They had a humiliating loss, and they dusted themselves off. And of all people, this is why you have all these superstars on the Yankees. You have MVPs like Bellinger and Goldschmidt, of course, Judge. You got MVPs with the Dodgers. Obviously, Betts is injured, being Freeman, Ohtani. This is just a tremendous, filled with great sluggers and everything. And it was Rice who was the big slugger for the Yankees. And of all people, DJ LeMahieu, who I said, why the hell is he cashing a check just yesterday? He gets the 4 hits and drives in a pair of runs. There is no sport like baseball. And I'm going to bring up something that has occurred to me when I was watching the Yankees show some guts and come back that makes me think, okay, I'm not necessarily saying they're going to win it all, but I think this team has shown me something after the first third of the season has gone by. And it's something that should make Yankee fans cautiously optimistic. Get all the supplies you need from the site that's made for skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from more than 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need, delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Here's something that should make Yankee fans feel good about their team. They've shown me something over this first third of the season, and that is they're survivors. I don't think this is the best Yankee team I've ever seen. Do you know why? This is not the 1998 Yankees. And actually, there's some other teams after the 98 Yankees I thought were extraordinarily talented. I thought the 2006 Yankee team was super talented, but they didn't get out of the division series. But you take a look at this squad. We all know they lost Juan Soto to free agency, and stop reading into, oh, he wanted this, oh, he actually said that. Both the Yankees and the Mets offered him a great financial deal, and he decided to take the Mets. That's all there is to it, and get over it. And the fact of the matter is they did, and they made a couple of moves that, as of right now, especially the Goldschmidt move, has been paying off. Now, Dominguez may have been hurt today. I don't know what the extent of his injury is, and I don't want anyone to get hurt in baseball. But you take a look, they're getting production out of Trent Grisham. They got a huge home run today out of Ben Rice. Somehow they got production out of DJ LeMahieu. And despite Max Fried having a pretty crappy game in the first game of the series against Los Angeles, he's been tremendous. Carlos Rodon has been solid. And we saw that, Will Warren is capable of good outings. But today, Yarbrough, who made only his 5th start of the year, was tremendous. And Luke Weaver has been everything you could want from a closer, and they have a decent bullpen. But they have had a lot of punches to the mouth. They've had some dumb losses. Obviously, losing Garrett Cole is a gut punch. They've had other injuries left and right. And yet they sit at first place on top of the American League East right now. And of all the things that have happened to them, I mean, what could be worse than saying, okay, you're going to try to defend that American League pennant, and you're not going to have Cole, and you're not going to have. And take a look what they've done. They have a .621 winning percentage. Even with the Blue Jays going on a wild 5-game winning streak and just clobbering the poor A's, the A's had a lead in the 8th inning. They just can't hold on to anything there. But the Yankees have a solid lead right now. They're 6 games up in the loss column of the second place Blue Jays. And they're showing they can pitch. They've had some excellent pitching. And they're showing they can hit. They've had games where they've pounded the you-know-what out of the ball. And they showed you that they can get unlikely contributions from players along the way. They do need depth, obviously. This is not a perfect team, but they're a surviving team. They've shown you with everything that I just said about what they've had to deal with the first third of the season, and that they're going to have to deal with the entire season. If I had told you that at the beginning of the year and told you that we'd be into June and they're already up 5.5 games on the second place team that is the Blue Jays, who, I don't think anyone is picking to win the pennant. The Yankees are showing they're survivors. They can survive being punched. They can survive a little bit of adversity. And they're not getting any sympathy because they're the freaking Yankees. And they do have a huge payroll and big stars and everything like that. But right now, I think that if Aaron Judge goes down to an injury, misses the rest of the season, you could still make an argument he's the most valuable player. He has been the glue of this team. And having Goldschmidt alongside him has been a move that has worked better than I think anyone could possibly have asked for. When you look at this team, they are bound to have a rough patch. The last bunch of years, this is right around the time they've had a rough patch. This is right around the time they do fall into a little bit of a slump and a little bit of a hole. And here's why Yankee fans should feel very good about your team right now. They've given themselves some wiggle room. Last year around this time, they were fighting tooth and nail with Baltimore. Now, for the Yankees' good fortune, they played well. Yankees played well down the stretch, and Baltimore didn't. So they put a little padding in between them. But remember, through the All-Star break, it looked like these two teams were going to be flip-flopping whoever is on top of the AL East. I'm sorry, not the AL Central. But as we record this podcast ever so pleasantly in the Locked On MLB studios in Pasadena, California, overlooking the historic Rose Bowl, the Yankees have given themselves a little bit of a buffer. They can withstand a little bit of a slump. They can. And that's the most important thing. for this first third of the season because everything could have gone south. Remember when I point out it's never the right time to lose a dumb game, and it's never the wrong time to go on a winning streak. If you do that early in the year, you get a buffer. And I'm sorry, I know the Blue Jays have won 5 games in a row, but they've also been facing Sacramento. They've not been facing world beaters. Tampa Bay is very difficult to figure out. They have won 7 out of their last 10 games, but they also have the whole minor league stadium thing going for them. And as of right now, the Rays are playing losing baseball at home. Surprise! Surprise, when you play your games in a minor league ballpark, you may not have the best record there. They're not as bad as Sacramento, who are 10 games under 500 at home, but still. Then you got the Red Sox, who do well when Crochet pitches, but they're still they're calling up I think they're at the point where they're going to call up all their prospects, give them major league experience, and really go for it next year. That seems to be what it looks like to me. And then Baltimore, they've won their last 3 games. Are they turning a corner? I don't know. I'm not going to start applauding them until they play 400 ball. So the Yankees can withstand a punch to the mouth. They've had a couple of punches to the mouth. They've had a couple of Clubber Lang punches to the mouth. And they find themselves on top of the East with a buffer. Does that mean I think they're going to win the pennant? Well, we're going to have to see. Detroit still looks really good, and they won again today. And Seattle, who we're going to talk about in the next round, maybe have something to say of it. And we've also seen that Houston, who has been terrific for the last 10 games, and look out, Jeremy Pena is heating up. They may have something to say about it as well. But Yankee fans, after such a humiliating Saturday, take some solace. Yes, they lost the series to Los Angeles. What a shocker. You're going to see the Dodgers, who right now actually, well, I'll talk about this, but they're the defending champs. All right, enough said. The Yankees counterpunched today. They didn't win the series, but it's always best if you're going to lose 2 out of 3 games, make sure you win that last one. So at least you're leaving town with something positive going on. Now, I don't know if this is going to continue. I don't know if they will sustain another injury. I don't know if the annual, midsummer flopperunio is going to really pay any mind there. And they're going into a stretch. They're going to be playing Cleveland. Cleveland's a good team. They're going to be playing Boston. I don't know what Boston is yet. Then they're going to go to KC. KC is pretty good this year. And then to Boston again. Boston is complete. I have no clue who the Red Sox are, and neither do they. But then they'll be facing the Angels and the Orioles. There's going to be some low-hanging fruit. And if Boston plays the way they've been playing, which is not that great except when Crochet is pitching, the Yankees could pad this. They're showing me something. They're showing some character. And you know what? At this time of the year, well, frankly, there's a lot worse things you could be showing me, especially with the injuries and the adversity Yankees have been facing so far. Did you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and subscriptions you forgot about, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized there was a lot of subscriptions I didn't realize I was still paying for. And I checked out the deliveries I was having and some of the other things I was subscribing to and paying for. Now I budget smarter and I save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, I can use Monarch to check my finances, track spending, even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner or spouse, that's smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Well, I'm sure some people are going to be mad that I haven't talked about Cal Raleigh yet, even though he's the thumbnail. I just didn't want every single thumbnail to be Yankees Dodgers, because then people will accuse me of having New England, West Coast, and Northwest bias when they find out that I'm also a graduate of Washington State University. Go Cougs. I can't have all those biases, because then they might find out about all that time I spent in Florida. And I might have New York, West Coast, Northwest, and Florida bias. Let's see. Shanae Miller Ashton says Cal for MVP and starting catcher in the All-Star game. And of course is referring to Cal Raleigh. MVP, pump the brakes a little bit there because, well, Aaron Judge is still alive. But Cal Raleigh right now has to be a top 3 MVP in the American League right now. Not only because he has 23 home runs, which leads the major leagues right now. Who had Cal Raleigh leading the major leagues in home runs at this point? He is on pace to hit 64 home runs. I am going to make a prediction. He's not going to hit 64 home runs, but he's going to hit a bunch. He'll probably hit in the 40s, which would make him one of the all-time home run hitters if he was a Los Angeles Dodger, but he is a Seattle Mariner. He hit a home run today that gave the Mariners a 1-0 lead. Now, the Mariners didn't hold that lead, but they wound up walking it off. And lest we forget, right now, as I record this, the Seattle Mariners are in first place. Now, they were in first place at this point last year as well. So, let's pump the brakes there a little bit. And the Astros are breathing right down their neck. And for a while, the Astros were in first place. They've gone a little bit back and forth and back and forth. Should be a fun race right there. But Cal Raleigh, right now, he's on an absolute monster pace right now. His 23 home runs, and it is tied for the second most home runs in Mariners history through the end of May. Do you know who he's tied with? Ken Griffey Jr. So when you're tying marks set by Ken Griffey freaking Jr., there you go. I'm sorry, you're doing quite well. And here's the other thing. I mean, he's got his 23 home runs. Barring injury, he is going to hit 40-something home runs. And the most home runs by a catcher was set by Salvador Perez a couple years ago at 48. That's, if he's got 23 now, and he's still about 2/3 of the season left, 48 is possible. If he has 30 home runs by the All-Star break, I think that's a realistic goal. That's a realistic goal. But here's the other thing, and this is also should make Mariner fans kind of happy. He's a really good defensive catcher. He's an excellent defensive catcher. And he's got a Mariner team of which the pitching staff has to be a big reason why they could move forward. Now, Munoz has been tremendous. And, you still have good pitchers like Brian Wu, who's pitched well recently. Luis Castillo obviously can pitch well. And Logan Evans and Logan Gilbert are all capable of pitching well. And Hancock and Miller are also fine pitchers. They just haven't pitched well this year. And Raleigh can really be the glue. Now, if they could get one more freaking hitter in that lineup, so Julio Rodriguez, who is starting to come back, it was a big part of the walk-off rally that happened today. They need to have one other star in that. Now, of course, Raleigh is a classic example why you can't just look at a batting average, because he's batting 264. Oh, that's okay. His OPS is over 1,000. His power numbers are terrific. He's walking a bunch. He's everything you can want there. And still not in everyone's point of view. Not everyone's view has him. Micah Miller points out Cal Raleigh is still somehow pretty severely underrated. I'll tell you why. First of all, he plays in Seattle, and maybe a lot of people on the East Coast don't follow what's happening in the Pacific Northwest. But he's also made a leap. Yes, he has been an all-star caliber catcher. He's not made the all-star team yet, but he got some MVP votes last year with 34 home runs and 100 RBI. And, he's consistently in the, 30 home runs the year before, 27 home runs the year before that. but I think he's made a turn this year. So he's gone from he's a good catcher with good defensive catcher with power to he's a legit all-star. So we're seeing what the Mariners are capable of with if their pitching continues to it continues to get better, and if Raleigh could be the centerpiece of the lineup, if Julio Rodriguez and Randy Arozarena pick it up a little bit and they get one more person to spark the club, then a lot of good things can happen. The Mariners are going to be facing Baltimore, who, they've played better recently, but we're going to see. The Angels, who also have played better recently, and welcome back Mike Trout. Mike Trout is back from injury, got an RBI single today. They still lost. And then Arizona, who, no matter how many runs they score, they're going to find a way to lose it. And did Burns get hurt? I don't know, and neither do you. But we're going to see. This is an important part of the year, the middle part, when you can actually start to take a good long look and say things like, all right, what do we need? Mariners need a couple more bats. And they don't have to be superstar bats, just professional hitters to put in the lineup. So when Raleigh hits a home run, it's a 3-run home run. And later they can turn over the Raleigh at the end of the lineup. They don't need a superstar. They don't need an MVP candidate. They already have one. The Mariners remain the only franchise in baseball to never appear in the World Series. The Mariners have to eventually get there. They've blown through too many superstars, and their history is getting a little too weird. And for Seattle fans looking up, seeing Oklahoma City in the freaking NBA Finals, they're going to be really, really throwing their coffee against the wall. But will Cal Raleigh be it? There you go. Some of the people are saying the fact that Jesus Perez says that the Yankees need more pitching for October. Yeah, probably. But I still they may have enough to win the division right now. And Ian Caldwell says, I think it being a switch hitter makes it also the more impressive. Yeah, absolutely. Switch hitting catcher, and with hitting all those home runs, as Kevin Kirby says, he's going to pass Salvi for the most home runs in a season by a catcher. Again, it's more than possible. It's more than possible. But it's going to lead us to today's trivia question, which is, what future manager holds the record for most home runs in a season by a National League second baseman? All right, that may be pretty specific, but when I saw this, I thought, oh, wow. So who holds the National League record? The American League record is held by Marcus Semien. But who holds the National League record for most home runs in a season by a second baseman? And the hint I gave is he eventually became a manager in the major leagues. But that could be a bunch. There's several power hitting second basemen who became managers in baseball who played in the National League. So that's your trivia question. You could, if you want to look it up, you can, but then, you would feel awful about yourself. By the way, Jesus Perez says that Montreal, I assume that means, as I'm wearing my Expo shirt, that you're pointing out that they didn't go to the World Series. That's true. They didn't. But I notice how I phrased that. I phrased it by saying that the one franchise to never go to the World Series is the Seattle Mariners. The franchise that used to be the Montreal Expos became the Washington Nationals, and they went to the World Series in 2019. Thanks so much for making Locked On MLB your first listen today. For a second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Talking about the Yankees, who dusted themselves off, and Cal Raleigh, that switch-hitting, power-hitting catcher who some of you think should be the AL MVP, and I, with my East Coast, West Coast something bias, says, do you know what? You may have to go with Judge. This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.